Hello and welcome everyone to ThursdAI for September 25th. My name is Alex Volkov. I'm an AI evangelist with weights and biases from CoreWeave. I'm very excited today to start the show and have my friends here, Ryan Carson, Jan Peleg. We're probably going to have a few more folks here as well, as we had another very dense week with releases. We're going to talk about all of this, obviously, but we always start the show with a little banter about how we're doing and what was the one thing that we must absolutely talk about this week, the one thing that stood out this week, the one thing that maybe one of us didn't catch and the other did, and got them excited. So would love to welcome to the show Ryan Carson. Welcome back. It's been a minute that you've been here. Would love to hear from you and your doggy. What was the one thing this week that was very, very cool?
Good to see you guys. There's stuff happening, but it's like, I don't know how much I could say. So new models, right? Exciting new models is what I want to talk about.
All right. Saying hello as well to Jan Peleg. Welcome, Jan. What's up, buddy?
Hey, how are you doing?
What was your one not to miss AI update from this week?
Qwen is on fire. Again, Qwen is on fire. They dropped an insane model this week. I don't know if everybody had saw this. It's like a huge table of benchmarks that they are state of the art, but the table is so large that it doesn't go into a screenshot on Twitter.
So definitely, yeah, I'm with you. See, we would like to give you like diverse positions on the show, but when it's clear that this is Qwen's week, it's clear that this is Qwen's week, folks. Let's hear from our friend Nistan Tahira all the way up in Canada. What's up, Nistan? What's up, buddy?
Hey, my thing of the week was actually Meta's Code World Gen model, even though I was not impressed at first because it was mostly Python based. The more I looked at it, it just felt like this is the way it should be.
I saw you sent this over and very interesting to discuss. So we're definitely going to cover that as well. LDJ, what's up?
Yeah, a lot of exciting things. People, Yam, I think you mentioned. Actually, were you talking about Wan? Is that like WAN or Qwen?
Yes. Qwen and Wan, both.
Okay.
Qwen is the LLMs and Wan is the video models.
Yeah, the new Qwen multimodal model, or MMIO, or Omni modal as we might call it, it's able to do audio and text output, and audio, I believe, and vision and text input, like so 3 modalities input, and it's 30B active 3 billion, so that's really exciting. But I guess since Yam already covered Qwen, the work from Xiaomi, which is also a similar model called Mimo, which we have in the show notes that we're going to cover later, that seems also pretty exciting.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely, like I wanted to do this exercise, didn't have a chance to just go through the show notes and just count the number of times Alibaba shows up, and I think it's like half of them. I think it's time to start with the LDR, folks. We have a big show. We will also have guests today, because just as we finished the show last week, Vic Koropathy, who's a friend of the show, released the preview of Moondream 3, and Moondream is quite incredible. And so I asked Vic to come here and tell us all about this and why he thinks Moondream is awesome, and chat with him. So Vic is going to be here soon as well. So it's very, very worth sticking around, because Vic always goes viral for some reason. And then hopefully he'll come and tell us about his release. All right, folks. So with this, let's dive into the TLDR. Let's go. TLDR, of course, stands for too long didn't listen in our case, because you didn't have the whole time for the show. But we are here to give you the kind of the scoop, the super quick newsy bit, so that you'll know everything that did happen. And then if you want to, you'll know where to go for links. After the live show, we turn into a podcast and a newsletter at ThursdAI.news. Feel free to subscribe. It's free. All right, so host and guest this week, me, Alex Volkov, AI evangelist at Weights and Biases. He'll be back here soon. And we have Nistan Tahira, LDJ, and Ryan Carson this week. And then we also, our guests are Vic Koropathy and his co-founder. Alrighty, in open source, we have maybe like 90% of the show is going to be open source, maybe a little bit less. Not tons of news from the big companies and APIs, but definitely a huge onslaught of news. Starting with DeepSeek. Folks, new DeepSeek this week. This is like, in addition to everything else, new DeepSeek this week. DeepSeek, but not like 4, not like everybody's waiting for like R2 or DeepSeek, V4. DeepSeek V3.1 Terminus. So we already told you about V3.1, and then DeepSeek updates another tiny update. They call it cheaper and longer context, stronger agents, blah, 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 blah. Very interesting. Some folks already reporting that it's pretty cool. Though I will say, DeepSeek did not own this week. Also, we have what Nistan mentioned, CWM, Meta's 32 billion parameter code world model released for agentic code reasoning. It looks like a researchy preview. Also on Hugging Face, you kind of have to go and accept a bunch of stuff to even get at it. Very interesting, absolutely very interesting as well. And then, of course, the kings of open source, the undisputed frontier lab in open source at this moment and have been for a long time, Alibaba, Tongyi, Qwen. So Alibaba is the huge company, the parent company, the behemoth, the Chinese behemoth. They have Alibaba Cloud and Alibaba Tongyi. Alibaba Tongyi is two labs, Qwen and WAN, WAN. So they do multimodal stuff and video, etc. They released just like a ton of open source things. We're going to run through all of them, but basically Qwen 3 VL finally released. Tons of people were waiting for the video and the vision enabled version of Qwen 3, and that's released with thinking version and a regular version as well. They do like to release separate thinkers and the regular, instruct LLMs. We also have Qwen 3 Omni, which is a 30 billion parameter open source with just 3 billion active parameters. It's what LDJ mentioned in the beginning. It's the end-to-end multimodal in, multimodal out. They call it Omni model with unifying text, image, audio, and video, and then it can see you and talk to you, and multiple languages as well. It's pretty cool to talk to it in different languages. It often switches. Qwen also released, where did they release as well? They also released Qwen Image Edit, which is an update on Qwen Image, pixel perfect multi-image editing. So it adds the ability to add multiple images for references, etc. And they also released Qwen 3 TTS Flash, although that one is not open source. I think that one is just API. And I think we'll get to another release from Qwen and the big companies and API. This is my list from open source. I believe the Wolfram also dropped something as well. Do you guys have any other open source stuff that we've missed here? Let me see.
What a boring week. There's nothing going on.
Nothing at all. Qwen 3 Guard, they released safety moderation model. That's new from them. I don't remember them going into this. I know Meta always releases like Llama Guard, if you guys remember. 3 Guard was also released from them.
Did we cover the tiny IBM one that just blew up?
No.
Okay, I just checked Hugging Face top of the week. There's a 250 million parameter IBM image text to text model for just scanning documents very, very fast. If you run that in 8-bit, that's 250 megs. You can literally run that on a toaster, no, Raspberry Pi. That's the top of the week now.
Please send me, so we'll add to show notes as well for folks who are listening and are into running small models. LDJ, I see your hand up. What do you have for us open source wise?
Yeah, so there's a couple things. There is something called power retention. I'll put in the StreamYard chat as well.
Yeah.
But that's basically an attention alternative that was open sourced it was published in a paper a couple of months back, but the company just put out a model for it I want to say yesterday or 2 days ago.
Nice.
And then we also have liquid foundation models, LFM.
Yeah,
so Liquid AI, they just released something.
We covered LFM, but I was wondering if they have new releases or this is like a follow-up on the previous releases. So definitely let's dive into this. All right, moving, let's see. Yeah, okay. We're moving forward towards, I had this like a little bit of a different corner here. I called it evals and benchmarks because I saw two important ones this week. We covered them and we need to know about them. If you guys remember, humanity's last exam came out and we're like, we're going to tell you about this because that's going to come up. So I had three here. Okay, so Meta Superintendent Labs and Hugging Face together redid the Gaia benchmark for agent evaluation, and looks like GPT-5 High dominates the execution. Kimi K2 takes the lead in open source weight performance. Okay, so we have the agent evaluation stuff from Meta. I saw Scale release SweBench Hard or something like this. SweBench Hard. They took the SweBench, and you guys remember there's the SweBench series of software engineering stuff, and then there's the SweBench Verified, the OpenAI kind of clarified, removed, etc. And Scale AI released something. Yeah, the way I found out about this was funny because Alex Wang, who's now in MSL, posted about his friend's work at Scale. So we're gonna add this as well. And I think there was a third one, and I unfortunately don't have this in notes, but there's definitely. Oh yes, there's a new benchmark of models playing Among Us, and it looks like GPT-5 is the most like mischievous and the one like it's good for like lying to other folks and finding out who's lying to other folks as well. So that one, like Among Us bench, is the third one that I had. But speaking of big companies, I think it's time to move to that segment of TLDR and just cover that. Ryan, you want to take this first one?
Yes. So there's a couple things that going on with Nvidia actually, but this one is fascinating, right? Nvidia is investing up to $100 billion.
Excuse me. Sorry. What? How much?
100 billion.
That's insane. That is absolutely insane. The numbers that like OpenAI is throwing out in the air are just insane. Sorry, go ahead.
11 zeros.
Yeah, it's so much money, y'all. Like we say the word billion, but actually, if you realize it's 1,000 millions, like this is so much money.
We're not speaking in parameters. We're not speaking in like again, like we mentioned billions on the show since we started. This is always something billions, and we also mentioned trillions. But like this $100 billion for 10 gigawatts of compute and power that Nvidia is going to invest in OpenAI. We're gonna have to talk about this. All right, we're moving to the next thing. Yam, you want to take this one?
Okay. So XAI is also on fire. Recently, we get new Groks all the time and new category of Groks all the time. This week we got Grok 4 fast. The thing about this is, well, it is fast, but it is a little bit intuitively fast because it can also search fast online. And you ask it to do a bunch of things and you see in light speed go all over the internet to get the answer for you and return you the answer. This is what it's useful for. It's not the smartest model, the most capable model. Obviously, it's fast. There is a trade-off at the end, but it is extremely cost efficient. It's multimodal.
Yeah, XAI is not like left behind for sure. And then we are back to our friends from Alibaba. So Alibaba launches their biggest model yet. There's like flagship LLM reasoner called Qwen-Max. And then they also had like a launch announcement, and the CEO of Alibaba showed some roadmap stuff. And if you guys were excited about the numbers that we talked about before with the billions of dollars, they have numbers of compute and scale that they're planning to go towards. That's also going to be very exciting. So definitely this is it. Folks, this is all I have from big companies and LLMs. Do you guys remember anything from other big companies on topic? Maybe anything?
This is not specifically about other labs, but as somebody that works in Agent Lab now and deals directly with them, the speed and urgency at XAI is unbelievable. I can see them directly, like Anthropic versus Gemini versus XAI, et cetera. They're just in the Slack all the time, pushing so hard, and I'm pretty bullish.
I also heard of them on a lot of the Twitter group chats for some of the open source vibe coding tools. They've been in direct chat with the engineers. Like some tool call doesn't work, something's off, someone's using a proxy. They're on it. They're on it right away. So there's a very strong feedback loop going on there.
Yep. Well, another thing from Big Companies API is Sam Altman posted a video of the Abilene, Texas data center that is built and scaled up as part of the Stargate initiative between OpenAI, Oracle, and... All right, moving forward to this week's Buzz, the corner where I update you about everything that happens in Weights and Biases. Our Fully Connected series, if you guys remember, I talked to you about Fully Connected, which is our premier conference, is coming up in London, UK, November 4 and 5. If you're there, please join, and I have tickets for you. They're running out, but you always know I got you. And we also have one in Japan that's coming up, I think, October 31st. I wish to be there, but it's Halloween, so I'm not going to be. But I think it's going to be super, super cool. So if you are in Japan during those times, please join us. And a bunch of industry great folks in Fully Connected conferences that we have. We're also probably going to sponsor some other conferences like AI Engineer in New York. Let's dive into Vision Video. Big updates here. It's just from week to week. This, I don't know, folks. Like I don't know how to explain to you like why this is like so popular and why this runs so quick. We'll start with Moondream 3, which is a small vision model, and Vic Koropati and the co-founder will join us. Now, this is a preview of the third version. It's a 9 billion parameter MOE VLM with only 2 billion per active. It has incredible ability to understand the pictures that you're sending and do pointing and do segment. There's a bunch of stuff. We're going to ask Vic about all of them. Also in open source from the same Tongyi lab from Alibaba is 2.2 animate, which affectionately the whole feed calls Wanimate because why not? because Wanimate sounds cool and way better. This is a lip sync and a character swap model. What does a character swap model mean? You take a picture that you generated with whatever image generation of, I don't know, like LDJ's avatar here is a cat, or testing catalog avatar is like this little green alien with a hat, whatever. And then you actually upload a video of yourself, record a video of yourself. They will just basically take that image and put it in that behavior. So you can act out stuff. Act 1, for example, from Runway is one such thing, but Act 1 was not open source. And this one is open source. It's really good. They also have a separate lip sync model as well. Just incredibly. So exciting. Those things are so visual. We're going to try this on the stream soon. Hopefully we'll get there. It's going to be so fun. Wanimate is definitely a great open source. The folks from Kling started also going crazy. If you guys remember, Kling is one of the top leading video models. This one is not open source, but they Kling 2.5 Turbo release, 30% cheaper. They call this Pro-Grade AI with sound. Voice and audio, we're not over yet with the multimodal stuff. Voice and audio, Suno released a V5. They call this AI music model redefines audio quality. I am honestly, folks, I'm at the end of my ability to discern between Suno V4 and V5. Like, honestly, it's so good that even V4 was good, but like, I've honestly tuned into Suno stream instead of Spotify stream multiple times and just forgot about the fact that I'm listening to AI-generated music. Qwen also, I think I mentioned this, Qwen TTS Flash and Qwen Image Edit. I think we're at the end of the TLDR. It only took 20 minutes. It usually takes 10. So let's dive into open source at this point, folks. Unless I missed something very big, I think it's time to open source. Alrighty, let's get it started. And I think as we get started, it's time to hit that breaking news button that I've been waiting for, because we do have some small breaking news that happened while we prepared. So let's do that. AI breaking news coming at you only on Thursday. Alrighty, I think we are talking about liquid nanos. LDJ, do you want to help me cover this? We'll take a look together.
Sure, yeah. So liquid foundation models, they are a company working on alternative architectures, trying to make especially long context more efficient like some other companies are. They released a new set of models ranging from 350 million parameter size to 2.6 billion parameter size. It's called Liquid Nanos. And I believe it's open source as well. They also have some specialized versions where they have a set of general purpose versions, as well as extract versions of them that are designed to extract important information from a wide variety of unstructured documents into structured outputs like JSON, XML, or YAML. So I think that could be really interesting, and it seems like it's even competing in that type of task with models like GPT-4 and models like 10 times its size, while being only around 1 billion parameters.
Tiny models, absolutely. And I think LFM, we had folks from LFM on the show. They're focusing on optimization and running on like even CPUs and toaster, etc. Like tiny models, but not only tiny models, also like with just like performance upgrades as well. So shout out to LFM Liquid Nano. All right, we moving on. There's so much open source to talk about. So let's run through the most important things. We'll cover DeepSeek Terminus super quick because DeepSeek released a new model, and it's always fun to see the whale kind of come back from the deep surface, release something and go back. DeepSeek released Terminus. Let me open this. DeepSeek V31 Terminus has reasoning with tool use upgraded a little bit. Some stats upgraded. MMLU Pro just jumped a little bit, like by point. I think the small updates always interest me because they always release like a 0.1 release, and then one of the evals is significantly jumping on top of the other one. I'm trying to remember which one this was for DeepSeek. I think it's like Terminal Bench or something.
I think the most interesting thing to note here is that they compromise on some evals for others. Yeah. It's not a full upgrade where you see like the next model is crushing the previous one on everything. It's not the case. It feels more like a fix for known issues and some enhanced agentic capabilities, but they did compromise on some benchmarks over here. You can see, for example, I know it's like 0.1, but live code bench is a little bit
I think it's the one that gets lower a little bit
Slightly lower.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So it is interesting to see this release when everyone is waiting for the next big thing, for DeepSeek to come out of nowhere and give us a crashing model like they did last year. And now we got an update which looks like a fix. And from their release, let me just quote, I'll tell you exactly the
It does feel like a bug fix release, absolutely. I have the quote here if you want me to read it. V31 fixes the CNN code switching bug, which happens a lot to Chinese models, including Qwen, where sometimes it starts talking Chinese or English to you, and pushes agentic performance, especially in coding web tasks. I think the highlight there to call out is Humanity's Last Exam is the biggest jump here, from 15 points to 21.7 points. Humanity's Last Exam is just like not being the last exam. Ryan, do you have any
Humanity Last Exam, updated now with the file.docx, new copy of,
Second last dot.
Yeah, it's interesting. Obviously, we talk a lot about evals, and Alex, you think a lot about this being at weights and biases, but I still find it wild how, when you're building an agent, it's so hard to figure out exact evals. And I end up just coding all day using a new agent harness, using a new model and seeing how it feels. And in the end, for instance, we tried Codex pretty hard. It gave a good run for its money. And we decided to go back to Sonnet 4 or even GPT-5, which is pretty wild.
Interesting.
I noticed this problem when using 3.1 as well. It would just think too much for some tool calls. And it was annoying because it made the experience very inconsistent. It would be extremely smart at solving some very complex problems. Like you're trying to run foreign function interfaces from a Node V8 engine, and then you're trying to go back into the browser. It would just think too much and get stuck. But it would also be very smart. So I think this update might make a bigger deal in those that have chosen to invest time to build their tooling around it.
Yep.
Especially like the terminal bench and the browser stuff.
Yep. And then they have also two modes there, chat for the JSON and reasoner for longer thought.
More like if you use Playwright, it's going to make it a lot better.
Yeah.
I think that's what this looks like.
All right, we're moving to Meta's. Nistan, while you already have you on mute, Meta released a 32 billion code word model. Tell me what code world model means. Like we talked about world models from Feifei Li World Labs, and we talked about like different other world models visually. What does a code world model mean, and why is it interesting at all to our audience?
Well, there is a generic lack of awareness on programming knowledge as your agent or your model is working on a large app. And it's something that you would expect to have from a senior developer, which is stuff like, where is your state? Where are your types? What is your compiler doing? What's like the biggest rusty gear in this contraption that you have set up? So for that, you need to have some kind of world model of the code base. Like you're running JavaScript. Is it JavaScript or is this something browser? This does not use JavaScript at all. This is built on Python. But the way that they have trained this is very different. The other people that I ask and that are very competent seem to be coming to the same conclusion that this is the way it should be. It should understand the compiler very well. Like it should be thinking of the program from the ground up as it's building it, and it should not just be making a very nice code site. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to get great results right away, but I think they're really onto something here. If this works out, this could be how everybody else makes their coding models. So yeah, it tries to think more like a compiler and be aware of what is actually going on with the software.
So to sort of pile on here, this is what everyone's trying to do with their agents.md file, try to give this context where normally a software engineer would walk into a room and remember these things and understand how the entire repo works. And it feels like a Band-Aid, with all of the cursor rules or agents.md. And I'm excited about hearing this, where the model will actually start to understand better the bigger picture as a human engineer would. So excited to see where this goes.
Yep. This is, I think, where they're going. They released 3 models, the pre-trained SFT and RL. They also released a model that seems to do some very interesting little stuff, but I think the paper and the approach is what's very, very interesting here. All right, folks, in the interest of time, we're moving towards the the darling of this week, Alibaba and Qwen. Again, for folks who are just like tuning in, I will explain kind of the connection. Alibaba is this huge conglomerate full of like many things they do. And then Tongyi is like the AI things in Alibaba split into two. There's like the Alibaba Cloud and AI and etc. And there's Tongyi where they train models. And Tongyi is constructed from Qwen models and one models as well. So Tongyi Qwen, Alibaba Qwen, our friends Jun Yang Ling, who's been on the podcast multiple times, and like a bunch of other folks, they have been on an insane release streak because I think it coincided with their kind of announcement week as well. So Qwen 3, so we're just going to run through some of them. It's really going to be impossible to cover. Like, you gotta remember Qwen 3, for example, we covered that for like half an hour with Jun Yang, but like it's gonna be impossible. And I think this is the downside of them dropping 7 models in a day and a half. And like it's really impossible to cover all the things. But Qwen VL is definitely something that folks have been waiting for. Qwen 3, when it was released, Qwen 3 was only like a textual model, and Qwen VL is something that like many folks waited for. It's the vision enabled model that they've trained a vision encoder on top of this. It's a 235 billion parameter, 22 billion active. It's a thinking version. So this is a reasoner with eyes, basically. It's a huge model. The next segment of our show is going to be talking about, we're going to talk with Vic and Jay about, do you need so much parameters for something like vision? But for some of the evals for Qwen VL are very impressive. They compare themselves to Gemini 2.5 Pro and GPT-5 at high reasoning, Claude Opus 4.1, and it's really like the sum of numbers are really impressive. They have benches here that I never heard about, like Zero Bench and VisuLogic, and that they're showing that they're better than the competition. But you know, MMU, for example, getting over Gemini 2.5 with this release. This is a huge model again, but like it's very impressive. I think somebody called out that the Doc VQA here is like a almost entirely solved at like 96%. What else can we talk about Qwen VL Vision? I gotta say that for the visual models, the list of evals, this is like the longest list of evals that I've seen being released with a model, like one of the longest ones. It's quite something because every new dimension, every new multimodality, like modality that you adds it with its own list of evals. So for example, they have evals for video here, video MME and LV bench and etc. Some of this they couldn't even find results for other models. 2D and 3D grounding, like hyperism and objection. Like there's evals here that like, good job on them to even finding those evals and then putting them in the release. Any comments on Qwen VL, folks? Super quick before we continue.
Yeah, there were some skepticism about some of the benchmark scores because we know that some of the benchmarks has label issues, and scoring is so high on them. Feel like, wait, how can you score so high if there are label issues? I'm trying to find them to show it because, criticism and so on. I want to show it if I'm saying something like this, but we just don't have time. But there are people questioning some of the benchmark because the benchmarks themselves are not perfect. Anyway, it's an absolutely amazing release. Just look at this thing. I'm not sure how many people are there on Tongyi Labs, but man, you guys are shipping. Like, I don't know how many people are you, but you guys are absolutely shipping, firing on all cylinders. Like, that's insane. At the same day, I think, with Omni, at the same day with Qwen-mas. That's crazy. Absolutely.
So grounding, visual agent, understanding of they say there's Sora on OS World. OS World is this like agentic click and things tasks. And we have a screenshot to code, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. They support something called Draw.io. Long context, scalable to 1 million tokens. I think that this is also important. Like, this is an open source model, and with some tricks, you can scale the vision model to 1 million tokens, which supports up to 2-hour video and like very long PDFs. So very much incredible release, Qwen VL. Another very much incredible release that we'll cover before we're going to get to our friends from Moondream who already joined is another release from Qwen, is Qwen 3 Omni. LDJ, I want to talk about this one. I think we mentioned this, and I want to see what we can share about this. We were excited about Omni models here for a long time. Obviously, a model that you can talk to natively, that you don't have to transcribe what you say and send it via text, and you can also see what you see. All these models are very interesting.
Dude, it's first of all, the 235 is the one I use the most for any custom. Sorry, this was it's not.
No,
and also that was the second highest benchmarking medical one that I was able to run, even on stuff that was not on the benchmarks. So them adding vision to it, it's a pretty big deal. I don't use the thinking version because I find it adds way too many tokens and not much more to quality. But yeah, meanwhile, the Omni, it just runs like crazy on even just 23090s. That, yeah, does your business use Gemini? Okay, you can actually just host it now. You can get most of the work done. And as data gets better and as training gets better, I'm still a big believer that 3B active parameters is probably all you're going to need.
Yep.
But yeah, let's see where this goes. I just want to see more people, well, including myself, just like make more apps with it. They're just the whole stack of the apps that's self-contained and you can talk to it and it talks back and it does everything all in one container, because we're not seeing a whole lot of it applied. But yeah, I'm sure it'll come.
All right, so we have, thanks to we have like the Qwen-3 Omni super quick to cover. I think Qwen-3 Omni is something to show and tell about, and we will do this after the conversation. LDJ, go ahead, give us your thoughts about Omni super quick, and then we're going to move on to our interview. And also we have some breaking news after this.
Yeah, so Qwen-3 Omni, it's able to take in audio streams and also output audio streams. And if I remember right, with this architecture, they also have a thinking ability detached from the audio. So essentially it can stream audio in real time while also having the separate thinking process in the background. And yeah, just really interesting. And the fact that it's only 3 billion active parameters, again, like their original non-Omni models, means that you could run it pretty fast even on consumer hardware. And yeah, it's going to be exciting for consumer local speech streaming.
Yep. I was very excited about these models when OpenAI released 4.0, which stood for Omni, because you could talk to it, it could see you. Since then, we had Quindler on the show, the guy from Pipecast, and he mentioned multiple times that like the downside of these models, that they're not as good. I actually had the tweet go not viral, but definitely noticed by OpenAI this week, where OpenAI Advanced Voice Mode is starting to become really dumb, at least for me, and many people confirmed that it's for them as well. Like it adheres to the instructions too much, and some people confirmed that like, hey, advanced voice mode is not as advanced as the basic voice mode. Basic voice mode did basically what we're saying. It translated, transcribed you, and then sent it to the model. Advanced voice mode is a whole model, and that became not that great. So Omni models are great in theory, but sometimes I think the industry caught up that like if you scale up the language part of the model and then do some stuff on the periphery, then you'll have much better intelligence from these models. But it's still cool to talk to it and hear a native output. Like it's still really cool. The Qwen-3 model, I play with it. It's really funny. They have languages support. They understand 119 languages, they said, and they get a sub 250 milliseconds real-time response. So like benefit there is definitely response. And then it speaks in like 9 languages. So I have it spoken to me in Russian. The code switching is still a problem for these models. It started speaking Chinese out of the blue. It like didn't really understand and tries to apply to it. So from a user's perspective, this model is not as great as, for example, advanced voice mode, which also goes down in usage as well. So I think Qwen released a bunch of other stuff as well. We're going to mention them in the other sections of the show. But now it's time for us to go to Moondream, because just as we finished the show last week, Vic and Jay, who are joining the stage now, decided to release it post ThursdAI, not on ThursdAI. So if you guys are here with us for a long time, you remember Vic, Jay, this is the first time that you're joining us as well. We covered Moondream 2 back then, and Moondream was this incredible small model that's like incredibly at looking at things. And you guys released a preview of 3. So would love to introduce you guys, say hi, and kind of, what are you guys releasing? I'm very interested in hearing what's new with Moondream 3.
Sure. Well, I'm Jay. I'm the CEO of Moondream. I co-founded Moondream with Vic. I know Vic's been here a few times. Want to say hi, Vic?
Hey, folks. Very happy to be on again.
Welcome, really quickly about Moondream 3. It's a new architecture, a new model, and I guess it's really addressing 2 things while keeping one thing kind of similar, which is Moondream is kind of known for being accurate, like highly accurate grounding kind of vision language model that's very fast. It's very small. We kind of keep saying like we're focused on the top left of the graph, the most like intelligent tiny model there is. This release kind of kept it small, but really bumped up the intelligence level. So we're reaching state-of-the-art scores on some grounding stuff. We can get into that later, while keeping the size the same, the active parameters. This is a mixture of expert models. So it's a 9B a mixture vector model with 2B active parameters. Same 2B kind of level of active parameters as the first model, but the first model was a dense model. The first thing we addressed is the intelligence got way up. And the second thing we addressed is what we've seen perpetually since the launch of Moondream is this last mile problem in the vision AI space. People use a VLM, they get super excited about the accuracy and ease of use, and then they run into this, but it failed in this case, failed in that case. We've been really diving deep this summer into reinforcement learning and have become converts ourselves. Like, this model is kind of the product of a ton of RL itself, but more importantly, it's a really effective model at RL. So we'll be launching the RL part a bit later, but it's just way smarter and it's really great at RL.
Let's talk about, thank you so much, Jay, for covering this. Vic, maybe I can direct the next question to you. Let's talk about capabilities, because I know some folks know about Moondream, but definitely not everyone. And you have capabilities like pointing and detection, specific things. And here, paired with reasoning, I think the cooler examples that we're showing now on screen for folks who are just listening, the cooler examples, like you are kind of like asking the model non-descriptive things. You're not telling it what you're looking for. You're describing in general, like, what you would like for the model to give you. And like the picture with bridesmaids, for example, you have a picture with like the bride and the bridesmaids, and like the model counts the bridesmaids. Can you talk about the capabilities that lead to the point of being able to do this, and like why would somebody need something like this?
We do a different style of reasoning, thinking, compared to most other thinking models, where we focus very much on allowing the model to ground its thoughts. When you think about how a human processes a picture, like that bridesmaid picture, for example, like if someone asked you how many, you start pointing at that stuff. You'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that's really what we enable the model to do. If you look at that example, that underlined text, the model actually generates those points internally. Pointing was a skill we had. We'd introduced to the model before reasoning, and we basically allowed it to leverage all of its skills in terms of pointing, object detection, etc., while reasoning about images. We find this works very well for tasks that involve grounding. Counting especially, we're state-of-the-art on counting compared to every single frontier model out there. Similarly, with our object detection, when you use a VLM to do object detection, it's going to be slower than the object detection models most people are familiar with, YOLO, etc., just because the parameter count is so much higher. But on the flip side, it enables you to open vocabulary object detection. You can just type in person wearing medal or whatever, and it just goes and finds it. You don't have to train specifically to find the thing that you're wanting to detect. We find that's useful for a lot of customers.
It's more general. And you guys work with customers, so maybe Vic, maybe the next question to you is like, who needs this? Like, who needs a language model visioner that's tiny and open source versus something like the dedicated like vision models like YOLO, etc., who are very tiny and maybe run on CPU versus folks. So you guys are kind of like the way Victor described it to me, in the middle. On the smaller side, you have the dedicated vision models, etc. On the larger side, folks maybe want to pay OpenAI and like trust them and use the big models that can do everything also for vision, but maybe they're not state of the art. And you guys are kind of in the middle with small models that can deploy on-prem. Who uses this? Like, who's the target audience? Can you give some examples of the customers and their use cases for this model?
Jay, you want to take this one?
Sure. There's kind of like two parts to unpack, I guess. But the simplest way I can answer it, to be honest, is that we're just seeing a rise of agentic uses for vision. Vision is a bit different. Like, I think that the huge models are great when you're doing kind of like one-off, you're having a conversation with it and you want it to think really hard about something. But when you're about to put it in production, you can't wait for 30 seconds per frame. Like, vision is usually associated with something that needs to take action quickly, and that's just too slow. And also there's cost, which is if I were to like analyze 1 frame a second of a real-time stream, that would cost me like $18,000 on GPT-5 a month. That just doesn't scale. The cost doesn't work. So as we're seeing customers want to adopt vision language models to automate and improve kind of their manufacturing or retail situations or drone operations and so on, they want something that's fast and they want something that's cheap and can run kind of continually. So that's why that's the main kind of thrust of it. But to be honest, I think we're still early in the VLM story, and there's all kinds of new use cases that people come up to us. And that's one of the great parts of us being open source is we have people come to us with a ton of new stuff and kind of educate us on the amazing use cases.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think you had a few questions.
You said Moondream 3 is doing something weird with their attention layer. How did you get to this performance? It's really, really impressive.
I'll take the first one and then I'll let Jay handle the second one. Our stuff with the attention layer, it really started from us trying to extend the context length. When you're doing agentic stuff, you need a lot more context, and our previous model was just 2000 because it was like single turn question answering. When we were working on that, I started reading some papers, and almost all context extension papers post hoc do some sort of temperature scaling in the attention layer. So temperature is how smooth the attention is when you're attending to your past tokens. And so I figured, like, hey, why not just make this learnable? Like, why not let the model learn based on position, how to adjust its temperature on a per head basis? Then I looked up papers doing similar things, and I found this paper that was kind of, nobody paid a lot of attention to it. It was called selective attention. I think I linked to that over there. Where in addition to the position-wise learnable temperature, they also make it data dependent. So depending upon the content of the current token, you can adjust what your temperature is going to be. And we found that this massively helps with both long context and just general purpose modeling. There's a paper that came out after this called gated attention, which explores a more generalized version of this. But we think this is something that almost every transformer we benefit from just putting in. It's also very parameter efficient. It adds like an extra 0.5% of your parameter count and almost no extra flops. So it's a great idea. The other thing we spent a lot of time on is training stability in mixture of experts. One thing with mixture of experts is when you have a distribution shift during training, right? When you switch from pre-training to fine-tuning or post-training, the distribution of data changes a lot. And at that point, the easiest thing for the model to adjust is like which experts tokens get routed to. And it makes some very short-sighted decisions on that front that cause it to lose a lot of that pre-training learned knowledge, because now it's routing stuff to new experts that aren't specialized to those tasks.
So I thank you guys for this, and thank you for coming up. We have tons of other news to cover as well, but I really wanted to feature you, Vic. You launched Moondream, I believe, last Moondream 2 on the show, and it's great to see the extent and how many people get very, very excited. While you guys were chatting about this, I went to the Moondream Playground, which you guys, everybody can use, moondream.ai/c/playground. First of all, congrats on the very much improved playground. There's some images here that I'm showing for folks who are just listening. There's an image of a cutting board with a bunch of vegetables, avocados, tomatoes, eggs, etc., green onion, and there's a knife. And the type of non-descriptive prompting that you can do with these models, unlike the vision models, is like, find me something that can be used as a weapon, and it shows like a knife, for example. Those examples are very visual, and just like the fact that there's reasoning about what it sees is just incredible to me. The fact that it's in a small package and runs only on 2 billion active parameters is just absolutely incredible. We'll never cease to get amazed about the type of stuff that can be done with just like very, very small number of parameters. So a huge congrats to you guys on the release. Any update on when the actual full Moondream drops for folks?
Vic?
It's going to be in a couple of weeks.
So Vic said a couple of weeks, but it looks like the audio is breaking up. Vic started training the model, and the flops on his CPU ended, so now there's no more flops for the microphone. I heard this, Jay. So we're
he kicked off training, so we can't hear him anymore.
Can't hear him anymore. I really appreciate your time here. Thank you so much for coming up. Folks can find Moondream at moondream.ai, and then we're gonna move forward because we have breaking news as well. Another breaking. Thank you, guys. AI breaking news coming at you only on Thursday. As a reminder, folks, this is why ThursdAI is called ThursdAI, because people love to ship on a Thursday, and we have quite a few new updates super quick. While we were interviewing Vic and Jay from Moondream, we have a new robotics thing from Google. Let's take a look at this. That's super cool. Logan posted, introducing our first widely available robotics model, Gemini Robotics ER. Actually, somebody in the comments shouted it out, so I want to highlight the community, folks, because if you are listening to us and also monitoring the feed and you know what's going on, please comment as well. But basically, Gemini Robotics ER 1.5, they're claiming state-of-the-art on a set of embodied reasoning tasks that can be used directly through the Gemini API. Embodied reasoning tasks means, what does it mean, LDJ? But basically a robot, like point of view and doing things with limbs, basically, as far as I understand embodied tasks.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's also called egocentric data. But yeah, when you basically have a camera or sensor specific to that robot, and then you have the robot doing a bunch of tasks and a bunch of information from its POV.
Yeah, and so they showing this kind of eval where Gemini robotics with thinking is significantly outperforming like Gemini, like the general models, Gemini 2.5, GPT-5, and GPT-5 Mini. They're not including any other robotics here, but basically there's also a write-up, and they're saying clear, very clear. Logan saying this very clear: the robotics is the future. So. I'm very interested in seeing how that's going to go, and also whether or not Google is going to actually step into actual robotics or just provide the software as well. Because I've been waiting for my humanoid robots, and they're not coming. Although I did see quite a few updates this week about humanoids learning to walk, etc. This is the new update for Gemini Robotics, Festim, powerful spatial reasoning, orchestrating agentic behaviors. Agentic is in real world agentic for your robot. Basically, the summary is this title: an agentic brain for your robot. This is what they released at Robotics ER. We also know that Nvidia does a bunch of stuff in robotics and are looking at this robotics future. If you guys remember, Jensen standing out on stage and behind him like a full row of humanoid robots of different shapes and sizes as they kind of scale up that. Any last comments about this? We have another small update from actually OpenAI. That's also breaking news. OpenAI says today, and literally this happened like 10 minutes ago. OpenAI said today we're introducing GDP eval, a new evaluation that measures AI on real-world economical valuable tasks. Evals ground process in evidence instead of speculation and help track how AI improves and that kind of work that matters most. This feels similar to me to something like what Anthropic is doing. I think Anthropic has also some similar GDP cost stuff, very similar to, if you guys remember, Bench eval, where Grok or some other things, Vent Bench, where Grok and other things are running a vending machine and actually like, the model is in charge of like ordering things. GDP eval from OpenAI is a new thing. GDP eval spans 44 occupations selected from the 9 sectors contributing into the U.S. gross domestic product, GDP. This is very interesting because some people measure AGI by the projected LGI. We talked about this at length at some point. Some people measure whether or not AGI is going to be AGI by like how much of the economy it's going to capture and how much it's going to improve. So it looks like the OpenAI has like an eval for this now.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at some tasks. Like we can take a look at the task.
Yeah, I guess one comment would be, in terms of OpenAI's definition of AGI, I think they're one of the only labs that have had a somewhat specific definition beyond just saying, oh, it's artificial general intelligence. Their definition is something along the lines of highly autonomous system that is able to outperform a majority of humans at a majority of economically valuable labor. I personally think that's a pretty good marker and goal to strive for. It seems like hopefully we get more evals like this that kind of more directly or better serve as proxies towards that type of goal.
100%. I want to show and talk about this stat or this screenshot from the eval where I gotta give props to OpenAI here and everybody else who releases evals. When you release an eval and your own top models are not the top on this eval, this gets applause from me for sure. They have a screenshot here from GDP eval win rate, performance on economically valuable tasks. Claude Opus 4.1 is leading this eval, and they have this like line, industry expert is around 50% of the benchmark here, win rate versus an industry professional. Cloud Opus 4.1 gets around 47.6% win rate against an industry professional. First of all, this is not OpenAI stuff. OpenAI GPT-5 high gets 38%, so Anthropic cooked here. Anthropic absolutely cooked in the real economic stuff. But also, the fact that we have superhuman coding agents, that they win the algorithmic challenge that we talked about, ICPC, and now we have models coming very close to parity with industry experts in this field of economically viable tasks. I think it's just, we're moving super, super fast, and we're going to get to the point where we're going to talk about Nvidia's investment in OpenAI very soon. I'm just seeing this progress. I'm amazed. Go ahead, Yam.
What are the actual questions in this eval? I want to understand. How do we measure it? What are we actually measuring? And again, I mean, respect for releasing an eval where Anthropic is leading. I mean, respect. You could have kept these evals in secret and still measure it, but
Yeah.
like releasing it, respect, seriously. But
So
what are we
here's
actually-
on the left side, we have the prompt in the test context. Your manufacturing engineer, automobile assembly line, product is a cable spooling truck for underground mining operations. You're reviewing the final testing step. This task is complicated, has associated risks, requires high labor, makes works area cluttered. And then there's like the whole requirements, and the output that they're looking for is something like the overall design with exploded view of components. This is the experience humans deliverable. So I think they're looking for the model to like output something like this, like on the right, where it would like, based on these instructions, generate an actual machine for an automotive industry. This is one example that they posted. I'm assuming there's more here as well. We have to move forward because we have like tons of other stuff. I think we covered open source pretty much to an extent that we could this week. Let's talk about, I mean, we're already in the evals and benchmarks area, right? So eval from OpenAI, we're going to add to this. Let's mention the other benchmarks as well from OpenAI. Meta, MSL, and Hugging Face together released Gaia 2 and R, which is a meta, like evaluations for agentic things. So let's take a look at some of the performance here. 2 categories of things, execution and search. GPT-5 High is leading. Very interestingly, the second model after that is Cloud Force Sonnet, and then Gemini 5 Pro is leading behind this. Releasing an eval where at this point the top model gets 80%. I think it's a little bit not super constructive, but hey, this is what they have. Very interestingly, this is a eval, again, talking about releasing evals that your model is not top on. This is an eval from MSL, Meta's Superintelligence Labs, and the Llama models, Llama Maverick is not remotely the closest here to the top. So they also released an eval not featuring their models. So GPT-5 High from OpenAI is leading on execution, search, ambiguity, and adaptability and noise here. And then Kimi K2 from Moonshot is leading in the open weight ones, which is this blue thing from Kimi. What type of questions? That's a good... They have a whole write-up that we'll add in show notes. We're not going to dive into this, but Gaia was a very familiar benchmark from before. So this is like a second version of Gaia. And they have a budget scaling curve. I think they adjusted to time running as well, because the more models run, the more they can go for. LDJ, comments on this one?
Yeah, I can give a quick example of what a question on the original Gaia benchmark would look like. So it would be something like, which astronaut on NASA's Orion announcement, and the 5th astronaut from the left, halfway down the page on the picture in that location of the web page. And it's like really long-winded questions that you have to go through, like, 5, 6, 7 steps, or sometimes less, sometimes more, in order to like look at images, analyze what is the next step you should take, and basically just finding really obscure information, usually on the internet.
Yeah. And thanks, LDJ, for the other comment. They added 1,000 brand new human-created scenarios, and they span across execution, search, ambiguity handling, what happens in user requests conflicting things, for example, or scheduling conflicts, etc. Adaptability, time reasoning, temporal reasoning. I think this one is a big one. We kept talking about LLMs having very bad temporal reasoning. Like LLMs, when you talk to them, they assume it's now, and then when you talk to them tomorrow, they still assume you're like at the same point as them, because they don't really exist on the time curve necessarily. I think the time-sensitive actions, like ordering a cab after a delay or some stuff like this, is part of this agentic benchmark. Gaia runs with an execution environment where an agent of your choice has access to a combination of applications and associated pre-populated data. They mocked up a smartphone environment for this, simulating what a human would use in their daily life. I think it's because Meta wants to have a personal agent do stuff for you from your glasses. And I think that that's part of the thing. And they want to compete on this benchmark. So good luck to them. And hopefully they'll beat this benchmark. Moving forward, the other 2 ones is from Scale AI. Let me see if I can... Alexander Wang. Let me see if I can find the exact thing that I was mentioning. Give me a sec. Yes. SweBench Pro from Scale AI includes multi-file edits, 100 plus lines changed on average, and complex dependencies across large code bases. This is SweBench Pro. And current top models on SweBench Pro is GPT-5 with 23% and Cloud Opus 4.1 with 22%. And other models drop below 15%. This is SweBench Pro from Scale AI. And then they have 2 sets. They have the public set and the commercial set. And the data set is on Hugging Face as well, including the code. Here is the performance comparison codex. GPT-5 the one released in July, is the leading model on this benchmark, following closely by Cloud Opus 4.1 and Cloud 4 Sonnet. And other models drop further, like Qwen-3, for example, very low. Very interesting that they've updated this. The commercial dataset is a different dataset. I don't think they exposed the commercial. On this one, Cloud Opus 4.1 takes the lead as well.
My only comment is just stop letting Alex name benchmarks. It's almost like the dumbest name, or here they just added a pro to one, so now nobody knows who or what this benchmark is for. Alex is really bad at naming benchmarks. If he likes the name, don't use it.
Yeah.
Just change it to something else.
And also, he's not part of the lab anymore. Go ahead, LG.
Oh yeah, that too.
Yeah, on the Scale website, there's two different subsets of the benchmark. Basically, there's the commercial data set, which I guess is more focused on enterprise use cases.
Yeah, definitely two sets of comments. And then I think we also have like a whole PDF of research as well in here. So they released the whole PDF as well, and they're showing like GPT-5 is taking the lead on the public one, and then Opus is taking the lead on the commercial one. They call this contamination resilient curation, built from the commercial repos, sourced from purchased startups, code bases, and copyleft public repos. Copyleft public repos. Very, very interesting. Alrighty, folks. The last one I wanted to cover in the evals thing is this Among Us bench, like super quick. I think the models playing games is actually like very important. This is a benchmark that somebody pitted models playing Among Us, the game, where you have to deceive your friends that you're playing with that you're not the killer. And then it looks like OpenAI models are the best at deceiving, which is, I don't know if that's great as a concept. We're moving forward to big companies news, but just before this, I'll do a quick this week's buzz to let you know about something that's coming from Weights and Biases, and then we're going to keep talking about Nvidia's incredible investment into OpenAI. So stay with us. Alrighty, folks, welcome to this week's Buzz, where I update you about everything that happens in the world of weights and biases from CoreWeave. And I think the only update I have for you this week is that we are coming to London on November 4th and 5th. So if you're listening to us from Europe and you would like to go to London for a few days of great speakers and talk to folks who also use weights and biases and CoreWeave models, please feel free to take a look at the show notes. After this, you can go to fullyconnected.com and then purchase the tickets there. I have a promo code for you as well that I'll share at the end of the show. Actually, I'll share it now. So if you go to fullyconnected.com and you enter FCLN ThursdAI, I'm going to add this to the newsletter as well, you're able to get a full discount and go for free. So if you are in London, if you would like to visit that conference, feel free. We also have a conference coming up in Tokyo on October 31st as well. So if you're in London, reach out to me. I'll find a way to get you in there as well. This is my only update here for Weights and Biases CoreWeave. We're working on some incredible stuff for next week and hopefully next week. And so I'll keep you up to date there. Let's move on in the big companies. I want to talk about this thing because the numbers are insane. Let me pull this up on the screen. But basically, I think this week's biggest announcement from the big companies and APIs was Nvidia and OpenAI. Greg Bachman, Jensen Huang, and Sam Altman both standing, two of them in leather jackets, announcing an insane $100 billion investment across the next however years that Nvidia will invest in OpenAI. And I don't like the whole internet exploded with like the meme of infinite money glitch because obviously OpenAI buys GPUs from Nvidia to train their models, and now Nvidia will invest in OpenAI. So that kind of, if you draw it as a diagram, it kind of looks like a circle. Money is going in a circle. But also, folks, let's talk about the absolute numbers here. $100 billion worth to turn into something like 10 gigawatts of compute. This is generally the thing. Jensen said famously, this is the biggest infrastructure project in history. Computing demand is going through the roof for OpenAI. Every person I know uses ChatGPT. This is like literally a quote from Jensen Huang. We talked about on ThursdAI, I think a week ago, that research paper from OpenAI got to a point where in July there was 700 million weekly active users of ChatGPT I'm assuming there's more now because like it grows, and September started and the students went to school. So what do we think? What comments do we have about this money going in a circle, but like it seems with no end for AI? Folks, I would love to like open commentary and just like have a little banter on this.
Well, somebody has mentioned before that it's actually not that unusual to what Microsoft and OpenAI originally did together back in, I want to say it was around the time that GPT-3 came out, and Microsoft invested a few billion into them. But what ended up happening is, for the most part, OpenAI basically spent a bunch of that money just renting out Azure compute and paying Microsoft to use their compute, and that was also kind of a circular investment. But yeah, it's exciting that this amount of power and compute is going to come online, and I'm sure other companies are probably going to also add competitive amounts.
There's a famous quote from Sam Altman that says, "You cannot out-accelerate me." And it feels like we're getting this more and more from Sam Altman as well. Yeah, many comments on this, like insanity of 10 gigawatts worth of millions of GPUs.
I wanted to pull out the charts. There are charts of the entire United States electricity production and the fraction of that going to AI. Same with the S&P 500, the amount of capital and the amount of capital that is in AI at the moment. These numbers are crazy. These are despite this is more than a couple of countries already. That's the amount of electricity production of a full country in some places in the world. It's pretty crazy the speed of how fast that thing actually step up. And it's great that you mentioned that Microsoft did pretty much the same kind of structure of investment at the time of GPT-3, but it's a completely different thing. On GPT-3, OpenAI didn't have revenue source at all. Now it's an extremely profitable company. GPT-3 was kind of, it was 100x less, I think, but at the same time, it was just risk at this point. Now it's a different thing. It's an infrastructure that is backed by the government in some sort of a Cold War between several countries that see this as a national asset at this point. And it's pretty cool to see that Oracle is moving $100 billion this way, then Nvidia is moving $100 billion that way, then OpenAI takes the $100 million, just return them back to Nvidia so Nvidia would give them equipment. And the best part, at this time, because of the news announcement, the general public put $100 billion into Nvidia stock. So basically the money is just printed out of thin air. Yes. And that's the infinite money glitch.
Jensen announces a new $100 billion investment over the next couple of years in OpenAI. Nvidia stock rises more than $100 billion because they're already like crazy.
We had a comment from Elon about this. Yeah. Listen.
Oh, yeah. A lot of people, some more than ours, are quite concerned with the money loop because loops can crash. But there is a pretty solid underpinning here that if you look in any government, the main expense, the biggest expense of pretty much any government is just healthcare and education. And that ends up being like over 50 or 60%. And now you do have the tech that's actually like very, very good at those and getting better and getting applied better. So this will work. Like there is a pretty solid economic basis to do this. Now, whether the loop will or stuff or how it'll go, the risks are there. But I think there's going to be more of these, to be honest. I'm pretty bullish on it. It's also kind of crazy. I mean, we're building a 10 gigawatt nuclear reactor here in Ontario. We're just expanding the one that was there. And each one of these things is like huge. And they're adding 4 more of those. And like that was a big plan for the next, 5 or whatever years. And now it's gone. It's just gone. It's just gone. There's a use for it already.
Ooh, all righty. We have another breaking news. Just before we get to breaking news, LDJ, just 1 second. So we had the Nvidia announcement, $100 billion into OpenAI for 10 gigawatts of compute. But also in addition to this, you guys remember the Project Stargate that was announced with Oracle and SoftBank, and they announced this. The OpenAI, Oracle, SoftBank announcing 5 new AI data centers under Stargate, OpenAI's overarching AI infrastructure platform. The Nvidia stuff It's not Stargate. It's like a different thing. They're working across like multiple things. Combined capacity from these 5 new sites, along with our flagship site in Abilene, Texas, and ongoing project with CoreWeave, brings Stargate to nearly 7 gigawatts of planned capacity and over $400 billion in investment over the next 3 years. This puts us on a clear path to securing the full $500 billion 10 gigawatt commitment we announced ahead of schedule. So basically, there's multiple projects in the tens of gigawatts. And the comment that I saw from Sam Altman internally in OpenAI that he posted, somebody reposted, Alex Heath, I think, reposted, that they said, where's my comment? I started this year at around 230 megawatts of capacity and is now on track to exit 2025 north of 2 gigawatts of operational capacity. 2 gigawatts, and they're looking for at least 20 gigawatts, 10 from this Nvidia deal and another 10 from Project Stargate.
You can calculate how many GPUs they had on that, because if you average out an H100 to, I don't know, just say 1 kilowatt, well, it's like 0.7. And then that's like 230,000, maybe like close to 300,000.
All right, LDJ, we're ready for the breaking news?
Real quick on the gigawatt note, I was going to note from that same source that said the thing about 230 megawatts to gigawatts, Sam also apparently had said by 2033, they're aiming to want to have 250 gigawatts of compute. That's the long-term goal. And also clarification on the Stargate and Nvidia thing. I do believe the Nvidia investment is actually towards the Stargate compute because both mentioned 10 gigawatts and Nvidia mentions partnering with the Stargate partners. I think it is part of Stargate.
I think those are separate things, but we will go and take a look. But it feels to me that those are separate things because they're announced separately. They didn't mention Abilene, Texas at all on the Nvidia stuff, as far as I'm saying, but maybe I'm confused. Alrighty, I think we have some breaking news, and this is the third one this show. Wow. All right, let's go. AI breaking news coming at you only on ThursdAI. Alrighty, LDJ, this one is yours. You announced it. Go ahead.
Well, to be fair, Yam was actually the first one to put it in.
All right, Yam.
And then if you want to go, Yam.
No, it's yours, all yours.
Okay, sure. So now in preview, ChatGPT Pulse. This is a new experience where ChatGPT can proactively deliver personalized daily updates from your chats, feedback, and connected apps like your calendar.
As far as I understand.
Oh, Alex. It says Alex.
They spent Alex wrong on the video, but we're looking at the video where ChatGPT will give you a fresh update on the things that it knows you like. Stuff like reading your emails, etc., having a to-do list. How does it do proactive stuff? Does it read my... Oh, so we're watching this video like all together. We're trying to figure this out. But like, here's one thing. ChatGPT says, here's a few tips to support your ACL recovery. So like it knows, because you talk to it, that you had like torn ACL, whatever, and it will just send you some stuff to read, I guess. I think the proactive part is the most important thing here. So you can curate what happens in ChatGPT Pulse. LDJ, where you wanted to scroll me towards? Yeah.
We're all seeing this at the same time, really.
Oh, but it says try now. So we can probably try now. Let's see if we can pull this up.
While you're trying that, I'm going to see if it's exclusive to Plus or Pro users.
Basically, from what I understand, it can react. I mean, ChatGPT can be proactive already. You can ask it to remind you later, remind you at noon, remind you every week, remind you every day, something like that. That already happened. And by the way, I use this a lot. I don't know how you guys use the app, but I use ChatGPT app in a million ways it was never intended to, because it's just so good. I think if I see this for the first time, just like everybody else, but from what I see, the thing is now it can react to things that are changing in the data source changing. Like, for example, it can monitor your email or it can monitor your calendar and just validate that this is what we're talking about, but it's completely different than just by time. I mean, it's proactively going to watch your stuff for you, the stuff you care about, and give you an update. Let's move on.
Yeah, I am verifying it now, actually. It says an explicit example in the blog post. It says it can connect to Google Calendar and it can remind you to buy a birthday gift for a date that's coming up. Yeah, this is really cool.
It looks like it's going to only launch for Pro users on mobile. So when I click this on ChatGPT desktop, I have it. I don't have it, but now I do have it on mobile.
It says Plus users as well. It says rolling out to Plus.
Okay. Alrighty. No idea if I can show you this because I'm on the phone and no. But I do have it in the ChatGPT Plus. Let me see how it looks. Maybe I'll take a screenshot.
Browser or on your desktop?
The mobile app. On mobile app. The blog post says it released GPT Pulse is now in preview on Pro mobile users. General rollout will follow. And then we go into Pulse, and Pulse, hey Alex, I'm here to surface what's helpful to you once a day, every day. You decide what shows up. If you tell me what to focus on, I'll curate it for tomorrow. I think that there's quite a few startups that are trying this. So OpenAI definitely went into some startups things. Perplexity does something like this, but obviously not based on your chats as well. Very interesting, the type of stuff it chose for me. And it says, get insights from your emails and calendar. Let ChatGPT proactively read email and Google Calendar give you helpful insights. And you can say allow, don't allow. And then they have basically like a news roundup for you. They show me Minecraft mods that build reading skills, because I once asked it for Minecraft stuff for kids, for example. Very interesting. And then you can kind of like push it towards what you want.
We're talking on the mobile only.
Mobile, as far as I see, like I only have this on the mobile.
Mm-hmm.
And it has news for me from AI, but like Meta's new 32 code world model is here, and infrastructure, Nvidia's 100 billion gigawatt plan. So basically, don't use this because then you don't need ThursdAI. Basically, no, I'm just kidding. But I will get my news and I'll let you know about them. But we already know. And after all of these things, it also asks you to send a notification, to allow for a notification, and also it will ask you to focus to get it to focus on the stuff that you actually want. So you have like a quiz after all. Like you have like 5 things and a quiz at the end. It's pretty cool. It is pretty cool. It's based on the chats that you're talking about this. I'm not sure if I want to learn more about the chats, but I think for some people who are using this for study, for example, that's great. Let's move on because we're almost at the end of the show. We have 15 minutes left and we have so much more to talk about. So more visual stuff as well. So we covered the insane infrastructure investments in OpenAI. And I remember Sam Altman tweeting something like, they have a lot of experiences that are GPU heavy that are still coming out, and it'll start with pro people just because they don't have the capacity. Also, when GPT-5 Codex came out last week, they lowered capacity because there's so much demand that they had to like scramble for more GPUs. I think they restored it now. So OpenAI is definitely limited. The investment to 100 billion. Sam Altman was like legit with a straight face on stage answering this question of, hey, in a few years when AI can solve cancer or teach every kid in the world how to read or whatever, do we want to choose between the two very more important things at this point? We talked about curing cancer with Dr. Daria Umuntaz here on the show. Like, we're expecting incredible things from AI, not only in code. It looks like so far we've seen this in code and maybe some personal things. And instead, we look through the use cases of ChatGPT from that research, from NBER, and the ChatGPT as well. Like, we see what people are using ChatGPT for, but we're expecting so much more. So all these like gigawatts, hundreds of gigawatts, this is expenditure that needs to turn into something like cancer curing, basically. And I think Jensen is the winner around everywhere here. No matter who raises which money for which AI, besides the Chinese labs, maybe Nvidia wins.
Yeah, really quickly, like think about how much wattage do you need to actually run something to do work for you. It doesn't matter if it's medical work or like solving a problem on your website and stuff. You're usually going to need 8 GPUs, and they're doing like 700 watts each. So you need like 5 kilowatts per person. And there's a lot of people, so you're gonna need that.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, to add on to that, like let's say it's even just one H100 running to have the agent running at real time, and let's say even that agent is able to run at the ability of a human in every single area, then there's over 3 billion working adults in the world. We don't, even a company like OpenAI has like less than 10 million H100s. Right now. So, we'd have to get to the billions of GPUs to actually start replacing most labor.
Yep. So we're going towards it, not super slowly, it seems. I just wonder where the hell all this power is going to come from. Where the hell in our like aging infrastructure in the US all this power is coming from. I guess we'll see. All right, moving forward. Folks, xAI launches Grok 4 fast. In addition to like getting even more of a funding round, Grok 4 fast looks to be on the top left chart of the intelligence versus price kind of thing. This is a chart from Artificial Analysis. intelligence index. Grok 4 Fast gets 75 points on them. No, 75 a year, so like around 60-ish points. They say it's 47x cheaper than Grok 4. They have a non-reasoning version of this as well. They say near flagship performance, but the speed and the cost, I think they're the two things. And also the highlight here, 2 million token in context window. 2 million tokens in context window, great for agentic stuff. And they reduce reasoning tokens by 40%. Impressive stuff from Grok.
Just want to mention on live code bench, Grok 4 Fast is the first, better than Grok 4 itself, moving Grok 4 to the second place. Needless to say, it's 1% of Push 4.1 in terms of price. And kind of benchmark-wise, at least on paper, it looks competitive.
Yep.
I haven't tried it myself, so I can't say, but I'm searching for... I've seen a video that I want to show you all of how fast it actually is in real life. But yeah, that's pretty much crazy. I haven't seen that coming.
We've seen this trajectory on other like models with GPT-5 Codex as well. They boasted the fact that like this model thinks for less but gets to the right results as well. So like it's really funny that we're like lowering the thinking, even though the scale test time compute scale is supposedly the more it thinks, the better the results are. Now everybody tries to like lower the amount of thinking because they also know that when you use coding models, you want them to work fast. Righty, Qwen-3 Max and the Alibaba roadmap. We have to cover this before the multimodal stuff because Qwen-3 Max was released. It's their flagship. It's a great model. Let's look at the benchmarks. They pitted themselves against the open source Qwen-3 235B, Cloud Opus 4, and then DeepSeek V3.1. And then they get 81% on AIME 25, 69% on Live Code Bench V6. We just saw Grok 4 get like 80% of Live Code Bench, right? Yeah, Grok 4 is 80%. So it's very interesting how selective Qwen is about their kind of evals. They're putting themselves very nicely on top, but you have to take into the context that other models that are not on this are getting incredible evals as well. Qwen-3 Max is only available in their API, but they're cheap. They have a thinking heavy mode and strong context flex, 1 million tokens in context flex. We have a testimony from Ethan Mollick saying so far Qwen-3 Max seems impressive for non-reasoning model. So it's a non-reasoning model. Comparing this to reasoning models like Grok is maybe not the best because reasoning models obviously get significantly more.
Say I asked it to go search online what is going on AI today, like what are today's releases, and it just goes extremely fast. Just searches website after website after website. This is extremely good for something you want to search, like a search engine, because it's fast.
I asked Preview last week to just make like a space debris simulator, and it was like the nicest looking 3D spinning globe with stuff that I had seen on other ones. I mean, it took 2 prompts. The only one that made it nice was Opus 4.1. So yeah, it's pretty up there.
Yeah. In addition to this, we have a screenshot from the conference from Alibaba. They released Qwen, QuenVL, Qwen-Omni, Qwen-Coder, Qwen-Math, Qwen-Image, all of these things. And they're investing in scale like crazy. Some of this is in Chinese, but they are planning to go from 1 million to 10 million context lengths and 100 million context lengths. Basically just throwing numbers around. Total parameter scaling, they're going to terabytes of parameters totally. They want to test time compute scale from, yes, I see your sunglasses, Yama, see your sunglasses, I love them. Test time 64K reasoning tokens to 1 million reasoning tokens when they get to this thing. Scale data, synthetically data. This is like, scale is all you need basically, and their scale.
Can you zoom in on this blue button? Doesn't matter what it says. Just can you zoom in on exactly this button? Yeah, scale is all you need.
Wait, we need
Absolutely.
we need a screenshot of this. LDJ scaling is all you need. Yep. Let's take a
AGI is coming.
Yeah, let's take a screenshot here. AGI is coming, and it looks like Alibaba is also like the foundational lab of China is very into this. All right. Folks, we need to move forward because also stuff from Alibaba, but other plans, there's multimodal stuff, and we're almost at the end of our show, and there's so much still to show you. Wait, another screenshot. LDJ got the glasses. Wait, hold on. Scaling is all you need. Zoom in, and then we're all with the glasses. Hold on. We have to take this photo. For folks who are listening to us on the Twitter space, I'm sorry, but like there's scaling is all you need. All of us are wearing glasses. Yama's chugging Red Bull like a madman. Let's go.
Scale is all you need.
Yes.
Scale is all you need. Attention is all you need. Everything is the computer.
Yes.
Everything is computer.
It's computer.
Everything. Mm-hmm.
A screenshot of this I took a screenshot of the slide too, so I could translate the Chinese to English.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll let you know when I get the answer back from Gemini.
All right, but I do want to move forward because I think a bunch of other stuff as well. We talked about Moonframe. I want to show you Wanimate. I don't know if we're going to be able to try Wanimate, but why not? Let me see if I can sign into Glyph. And also note to Alex, sign into all the things that you're about to demo before you go this. So they have one 2.2 Animate is this character swapping model from one that you can basically take any character and then record yourself with the camera, etc. And then they will just basically swap it for you. Let's take a look at how it looks because it looks crazy. This is a great example here. Let me see. I can turn this on. Here's a person. There's like it just swaps. He is the reference image. He moves around, etc. And then they have a reference. Here's the reference motion and the reference image. And just, folks, this is like deep fake on another level. This is just quite incredible. Obviously, Runway had a model like this as well, but this is in the open source release. The fluid hair dynamics is quite. Look at this. The hair dynamics is crazy.
Open source?
Yeah.
Wow.
Look at the cloth dynamics on this guy that's jumping. It's really something else. Like it's really something. Like my whole feed was going crazy for this. You can try this model on file replicate, Glyph, etc. I have another example of videos, I believe. Here.
I'm warning you guys, you're gonna spend all day and all the credits, and you're gonna fire up an H200, and then it takes like 3-4 minutes to make one video, and then you're gonna keep changing it. It's fun, but just be careful with the time you spend on this.
So basically, you need one picture and then the reference movement, right? So you can act out a scene and it brings to life that scene. So it's different than like a character. It's different than a character thing that you give it one image and you tell it what to say and like it animates it on its own. You are actually moving, right? So you can take videos of yourself and turn it into something. They basically just take the motion from the picture and then they create the character. That character will not do anything that you didn't tell it to do. It will follow your instructions. But with precise body motion control, it's quite incredible. This is cinematic stuff. This is what Hollywood uses.
What do we need this for? I have a feeling I need this for something. Like there is a use case. I can use it for something real, but I'm not sure exactly what, because it doesn't animate a video of myself. It is animating a video of something else based on what I do. So what do you guys think? Like, what can I use this for?
I'm using it onboarding. Just remove the background from the video and just put the onboarding on your site or your app and just have it go around. Yeah, it's really nice.
Oh, yeah, you can actually use the picture of yourself with a video of yourself. That's a really good use case. Absolutely.
If you want if you want to act out a robot, for example, and not have the model come up with the robot movements, you actually want a specific thing that you want. You want the robot like to pick up something, for example. So you can act it out yourself and then replace the robot on top of you. And then basically like precise control for video.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just saying that in real life, most people don't need to act out robots, but many people absolutely need a video of themselves, like a perfect video of themselves doing something. Absolutely. You can use this for, I didn't even think about this, but extremely useful.
So in the spirit of showing stuff and explaining them to the folks who are just listening to us, this is one 2.2 Animate, effectively called Wanimate. It's on Hugging Face. It's on, I believe it's open source. I think it's open source. Let's see. I'm trying to find the actual weights for this. It's on GitHub as well. Cinematic level aesthetics and then efficient, high definition hybrid text and image to video. And then also moving forward, we have 2 more updates from the video perspective. Kling 2.5 is the new one. Kling released a version of Kling, the video model that looks cinematic as hell. They didn't announce the announcement that much. They only reshared. They gave Kling access to multiple folks and they reshared the best creations like what we're seeing right now. Character consistency is the holy grail of character consistency. With frames, you can usually get there fairly okay. So we're seeing this incredible movie of a samurai riding through explosions and meteor showers, etc. And you can see cinematic motion. I think the highlight there is this one supports audio a little bit as well. And we are definitely looking at some very, very impressive things here. So Kling is available on their website and everywhere else. And just like they have very strong prompt adherency and also physics. So most video models cannot do acrobatics, for example, or Olympic stuff. And we're seeing a girl doing like a breakdance. And besides a few things where her body flips, I think generally it looks very impressive. So Kling for the creators is very like big deal for video creators. And another big deal also from Van, when released Qwen 4.5 preview. So we talked about Qwen Animate, which is a character replacing model. This one is a video model. This is a preview, and they talk about the architectural features, native multimodality, new unified framework for both understanding and generation, flexibly supporting the input and output of text, image, video, and audio. So this is also another multimodal model. Unlike Qwen Omni, where you talk to it, this one understands what you want and you can like provide videos, for example. This one looks incredible. Like I tested this one, I think I posted about this. This is one of the top results that I had from a video model on this go-to task that I have. I have a task where I take a picture of myself and then I ask it to animate of me interviewing a white polar bear that is dressed like me.
What is the best video model for general use cases today? If I want to just generate a video about something, what do you guys think?
I think Qwen is up there. This is not open source. Kling is up there. Veo is still up there. But I think for some of them, they showed an example of people preference. Let me see if I have this preference. Yeah. So this is Kling's kind of blog post. And basically, to answer your question, we're seeing a win-loss ratio of like people preference, right? And they say the Kling 2.5 Veo versus Veo 3, Kling 2.5 Turbo gets 70% win rate against Veo 3, and then 50% win against Seedance, and then where's the difference here? Oh, Seedance Mini, and then like 50% against Seedance and with ties. So like very impressive. I think Kling is up there. Kling is definitely up there for like the regular person. But Qwen is new, and I think that the highlight of Qwen is it generates audio. And I don't know if you heard me saying welcome to ThursdAI, but that wasn't me. Qwen is able to take just text and output a script with lip sync. So you're able to create characters that talk up to like, I think 10 seconds, but it's also able to take an audio that you pre-recorded, like us from the chat here, and also use that for lip sync. So this model is like an Omni model. I think that this is like the big thing here. It's a full Omni model that like does understand video as well. So video inputs and image inputs. This is like the new thing. And also it does 1080p, 10-second video generation. This is not a open source model, but I think Qwen is like the most impressive capability wide release from videos.
It's also impressive that all of this is coming from Alibaba. Yeah.
Alibaba is on top of anything else. Alibaba is releasing incredible stuff. Folks, we're over time. I do want to play a Suno song. I definitely do want to play a Suno song. Let me see if I'm able to do this with the audio. I should be able to with audio. Suno V5. Let me see if I can log in there super quick. I'll just play the YouTube video because we all must be able to hear this. Hopefully you guys on the stream hear this as well. This is the announcement, the YouTube video announcement. Let's hear for a few examples. Blah, blah, blah. They talk about the improvements. I want to see examples. I don't know. Remastering, new features. Okay, what does V5 Suno sound like?
This song was made with Suno version 5 using samples we recorded on the instruments you see in this video.
Very interesting. So these folks are sitting in a studio recording samples, and then Suno just like mixes them together, kind of like a producer. And they have like guitars there. Somebody's knocking on the thing. I said in the beginning, like I'm getting to the limit of my ability to tell you like Suno 5 is better than Suno 4, but I did listen to it, and I think we had some other comments as well. I'm getting to my limit of like understanding the differences there. It's quite crazy the level Suno V5 came to.
If I go to Suno, if I just go to and listen to random songs on Suno, which I'm doing quite a lot, it's out. Cool.
This guy is showing. Where can I show you the Suno thing? Human-like vocals and clear audio. Like this is the capabilities. It includes remastering, covering songs you can like upload, and also songs you created with Suno 4 you can remaster with Suno 5. User and community reactions are very strong, at least on Reddit. Some songs that I created, like Afrobeats, I could not distinguish them from actual produced songs. But again, not a master. I will try and reimagine some of the ThursdAI opening credits with Suno 5, and then we'll see where we end up. I think we covered mostly everything. In voice and audio, there's this Xiaomi Mimo audio with 100 million plus hours of pre-trained audio. I wonder where they get all this audio from. It's kind of scary. But this is state-of-the-art few shot across diverse audio tests like reasoning, dialogue, and TTS in one general model. So very, very impressive. It's on Hugging Face. There is a demo, and you can talk to this demo. This demo uses, let me see if I can show you guys the demo so that we can actually look at the demo together super quick. I think if we go here, go like this, you will be able to actually see. And here, yeah, okay. Let's access the microphone. Hey, hello, testing, 1, 2, 3. What can you tell us? What can you tell us about yourself?
Testing complete. I'm Mimo Audio, your friendly voice AI created by Xiaomi. I can hear what you're saying and chat back with my voice. Think of me as your tech-savvy buddy who's always up for a conversation. I'm here to help out, share some laughs, and keep things light and fun.
That was pretty cool. That was fairly quick. I paused it for right now. It can match your language, but the choose prompts and voices that match your language, default settings are optimized for English. So you have voices here that you can choose, and then preset prompts as well.
Maybe tell it to sing or something hard, which is not just...
Yeah. Hey, could you help us? Can you sing Happy Birthday to me? My name is Alex.
Wait, hold up. Before I start singing, I got to know, is this a real birthday or are you just testing me? Because I don't want to accidentally reveal someone's age, you know. But hey, Alex, since you asked so nicely, here comes your birthday song. Ahem, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
I want you to actually sing it out. Can you sing?
Oh, you want the computer? Okay, here we go. Ahem, happy birthday to you.
I'm so far not super impressed by this Omni model at all because it doesn't
7B,
want to sing and it says ahem.
But okay.
It is a 7B, yes.
Well, actually, it doesn't come close.
But it's trained, and also I noticed that like it changes voices a little bit. Well, this was Mimo audio as well, and I think on this, folks, it's time to finish. And before we finish, I wanted to tell all of you something that I noticed on my timeline as well. This week was one of the more important Jewish holidays called Rosh Hashanah, so I wanted to wish a happy new year to all of you. It doesn't only include the Jewish people. But to present this, I went and decided to use some AI art for the congratulations I did. And I noticed that I already did this in 2022 in September. And this was the state of the art. I'm showing a very ugly picture of two minions with their mouth full of pomegranate seeds. I got stuck on this. And this was 3 years ago. This was the state of the art. I think I generated this with the Dream Studio from Stable Diffusion, I believe, 3 years ago exactly. And so I was like, okay, I need to do this a little bit better. So here's the difference in 3 years from the state of the art of imagery back then on proprietary stuff and just incredible progress that we're living through. And sometimes it's great to pause and see and compare. So with that, I want to tell you a dense week. My head is exploding right now, but incredible updates, including some new stuff from OpenAI, just absolutely madness week after week. It looks like we're going into October, which will be our next show. September was dense, folks, dense. Like I'm barely able to keep up. So I'm very happy that we're here to be able to do this together. Thank you, LDJ, Jan Peleg, Nisten, everybody who tunes in every time. Ryan was here before. We had Vic and Jay on the show as guests. Thank you, everybody who tunes in. So with that, if you missed any part of the show is turned into a podcast and a newsletter. Newsletter is free. It's a weekly newsletter. Please sign up and tell your friends.
We're still 4.9 stars on Apple Podcasts.
Yes, if you are subscribed to Apple Podcasts, please go in there and leave us a 5-star review. It's going to really, really help other folks discover and stay up to date together with you and us. With that, we're going to sign out and then we'll follow up with the newsletter and then we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.